Good morning. Welcome to the Cool Today Sunday Morning Show. I'm Jaime DiDomenico with Cool Today, President, and I'm here with Mike Mahnken, our HVAC Maintenance Supervisor. And Mike's primary position is maintaining the quality of our maintenance division and training our service techs. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Jamie.
So here today we're talking about HVAC maintenance and why is it important and the benefits and the process. So let's get right into it.
Absolutely.
What would you say is the most important thing about HVAC maintenance? What's the most important benefit?
Well, to me, the most important benefit is you have a very expensive piece of equipment, and it's just like having a car. It needs to be maintained. If you don't maintain it, it's going to break down. Your air conditioner is probably the most expensive investment that you have in your home. It's what provides your comfort, your indoor air quality, and if you don't maintain it properly, you're going to have problems with it breaking down, especially at that peak part of the season where it's very hot. It's going to be uncomfortable Saturday night, 11 o'clock, and nobody wants a breakdown at that time of night, and then you have to have a service guy come out. So
right.
The best thing you can do is keep your system properly maintained and also keep your warranties valid.
Okay, so Murphy's Law, if it's going to break down, it's going to break down nights and weekends.
Correct.
And I can speak from 30 years experience as you can. We get a lot of calls nights and weekends for breakdowns.
Yes, we do.
So our goal is to not have a maintenance customer have a breakdown.
Correct.
So the most important benefit you're saying is prevention of breakdowns.
Preventive maintenance is key.
Okay. Would you say there's a big difference between today's AC systems and, say, 15 years ago or 10 years ago?
I would say that there is a difference. The systems, back when I first started doing this, they were not as efficient as they are. They did not have the electronics that they have now, the circuit boards, the motors are different. Everything is fundamentally different about them. The basic refrigeration cycle is the same. The refrigerant, however, is also different. The refrigerant is actually a more efficient refrigerant as opposed to the old refrigerant.
And environmentally safe.
And environmentally safe also, yes.
So they run with higher pressures. They have more electronics, kind of like the way cars are these days.
Correct.
They really transformed from, older technology, lower gas miles per gallon, to new technology, higher miles per gallon, which is measured by SEER rating, I
Correct.
think, in the HVAC world.
Correct.
SEER.
Yes, and what I tell my customers is with the efficiency rating of a system, you can equate that to miles per gallon. If you have an old system that when it was new was probably a 10 SEER, if it's 15 years old, 10, 15 years old, it can be running anywhere from 5 to 7 SEER. Whereas a new system, if you have a 14 SEER system, if you put that to miles per gallon, you got 14 miles a gallon as opposed to 7 miles a gallon. It just makes sense to put money in your pocket by getting a new system.
Right. And lack of maintenance will reduce that miles per gallon
Absolutely.
over time, just like your car.
Absolutely.
You got to change filters and you have to do things. And we'll get into the process of the HVAC maintenance later in the program. But let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned something about manufacturer's warranties. What's new with that and HVAC maintenance?
Well, the manufacturers extended warranties and even in-house warranties, which we have. Yeah. If you don't properly maintain your system and have it done by a licensed professional, licensed bonded professional, those warranties will be void. So if your motor breaks down and you have somebody who is unlicensed go and change that motor out, the warranty that you have that you've paid for is no longer going to be valid by the company that manufactured your system.
Right, Carrier, Trane, Lennox.
Correct.
So let me ask you this, because something else has changed in the last 15 years, and manufacturers' warranties have went from 5 years to 10 years.
Correct.
So they're a little bit more. They scrutinize more the fact that how the systems are maintained because they have that 10-year warranty with it, right?
Correct.
And we've had situations where they've asked for proof. If a coil
Very
goes
much
bad or if a compressor goes bad, they want proof of maintenance, right?
Correct. They will, for instance, if a motor fails, you're going to have to call the manufacturer, give them the model and serial number, and tell them what the nature of the problem is. They will then ask for proof of maintenance records from that particular system. If you can't produce proof of it, whether it be the homeowner or the company going out to service it, the manufacturer can deny all warranty claims. Just as same as with an automobile.
Okay.
If you don't maintain your car and change your oil as you're supposed to, they're not going to warranty your engine that blows.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And it's something fairly new in the last 5 years they've been really focusing on. Obviously, they've been paying a lot of warranty claims on parts in the past that was related to maintenance, and they want to prevent that.
Correct.
So, talking about that, if your compressor, which is the motor in your car, which is your outdoor unit, how does maintenance, regular maintenance, help extend the life or prevent that compressor from failing?
Well, regular maintenance, first of all, you're going to make sure that the filter is changed and that it's clean. Mm-hmm. That is critical. Airflow is critical in any air conditioning system. Mm-hmm. If your filter is dirty, or your evaporator coil is dirty, or you have some sort of airflow issues, the refrigerant in the system will not evaporate as it's supposed to inside. It will then go back outside to the compressor, either as full a liquid or partially a liquid. It will then start to wash the oil off the bearings in the compressor. Basically, it's just like running your engine dry of oil. Okay. It's going to wash the oil off those bearings, and it's going to seize that compressor.
So, just because of a dirty filter?
Dirty filter.
Or a dirty coil?
Dirty coil.
Wow.
Correct.
Okay. So, homeowner really should make sure that the filter's being changed every month or every other month, depending on their lifestyle, right?
Correct. It depends on the home and the environment in the home. A lot of people like to leave their house open a lot of fresh air. When you have that, you're going to have a lot of dirt and everything else in the air. So some filters may need to be changed more often than others.
Okay.
Okay.
And ladies, make sure when he says he changes the filter, he actually does. That's one thing we tend to find. Oh, my husband changes that filter every other month. I know for a fact. And it's got like a small cat on the filter.
Pretty much.
itself.
And something I've been telling my customers for years that was passed down to me. Every time you get your power bill, before you put that check in the envelope, or if you hit click for doing it online, check your filter. Mm-hmm. Just pull it out and look at it. Mm-hmm. Does it look dirty? No? Put it back in. Let it go till next month. Some months you won't even run your air conditioner, so there's not even a need for it. But after you put that back in, go ahead and hit send for paying your bill, or seal your check and throw it in the mail.
At Cool Plumbing and Energy Today, taking care of business, or TCB, is really about helping others get the best from today. So for us, TCB is really TCP, taking care of people.
Taking care of people when their AC breaks down at 1 in the morning.
Or by supporting those who provide vital care in the community.
We love taking care of people so much, we're celebrating in different ways throughout the community. So join the celebration today at tcptoday.com.
Welcome back to the Sunday Morning Cool Today show. And here we have a live air handler. This is what goes inside the home. And a condensing unit, which goes outside the home. And that's where the compressor is located, outside. And this is the lungs. This is the breathing apparatus of your home.
That's it.
Okay? So the air comes through here, through this coil, and then this is the blower assembly.
Correct.
So do you want to talk a little bit about what the process of a maintenance, what you do?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, we'll go ahead and we'll start your thermostat and turn the system on, get it up and running. We'll go ahead and check your airflow. Pull your filter out, make sure your filter's clean. Check your amp draws, that you have a motor right in here. That's what's drawing the air through the air handler and blowing it back into your home.
Amp draws, that's like an EKG on your heart, so to
Correct,
speak,
correct,
right? If
correct.
the amp draws are looking good, that means there's good signs.
Everything's smooth.
Okay.
Everything's smooth.
Okay, I want to make sure we.
Yeah, you're going to know by overamping or underamping if you have a problem.
Okay.
And on this one does not, but on some of the older systems, the motors had a capacitor here. We'll want to test the capacitor also.
Okay.
Okay. Capacitor, I always tell the layman, it's like a battery. Over time, it loses its charge. Okay.
Right.
And when it loses its charge, it'll put more strain on that motor. It'll take out that motor.
Okay.
It's a very expensive motor, so we don't want that.
Here's one of those circuit boards you were talking about.
This is the circuit board here. We want to make sure all these connections are nice and tight. We'll take the screwdriver and tighten everything up. Make sure all these connections here are tight, the wire harnesses are on. Check out your fuse, make sure that's nice and tight inside of here. It's a little 5 amp, it's like an auto fuse.
So if that fuse pops, what would happen?
Basically, this is protecting a transformer back here. The transformer is taking your high voltage and dropping it down to low voltage. This right here will blow instead of blowing your expensive transformer.
Okay.
So a little $5
But it'll
part.
still cause your system to stop.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. But what we'll do then, we'll turn the system off. We'll take the panels off as we have here. There's 2 panels. Once again, like I said, we'll pull the filter out. Okay, the filter is usually located down here. Sometimes it's in the home. We'll spray down the coil with a microbiocide. If it needs a cleaning, we'll go ahead and brush it off. If it's a heavy cleaning, you can see how thick that this coil is.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like a radiator.
Correct. It's about 3 inches thick, and it can grow stuff inside of it.
Right.
So that's why it will sometimes have to be pulled out and
cleaned.
cleaned.
And that's
okay,
extra
professionally. Correct.
Now, seems like pretty extensive. How long does a normal maintenance take?
A good maintenance should take about an hour and a half, depending on the location of the system. If it's up in the attic, it's going to take a little bit longer to go ahead and get your tools up there and get the work done. But
That's
about
why
an
we
hour
normally
and a half.
charge like $79, $89
Correct.
at least for
Correct.
even on a coupon.
Correct.
You know, that's why a $39 tune-ups, I don't know how they could spend an hour, hour and a half, so be careful.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Like I said, we'll go ahead and spray everything down. We'll make sure it's nice and clean. On the bottom right here, this is an expansion valve. There's a sensing bulb. We want to make sure that that's properly mounted, because if that's loose, that is going to go ahead and affect the refrigerant flow. Okay?
And this is an all aluminum coil. That's where the technology is going now, from
Correct.
copper to aluminum.
Yep, so you don't have dissimilar metals.
Right, so,
Okay?
okay.
So once we've determined everything's clean, we'll go ahead and wipe down the drain pan. This is a vertical application. If this were a horizontal application, this is your drain pan here. It'll be all wiped down. Okay?
So you mean sideways?
Correct. If you
hanging
lay
in
it
your
down-
garage versus vertical
Correct.
on a stand.
Your drain line comes out here. This is where the water will come out.
That's on a white PVC.
White
we wrap
PVC
ours,
pipe.
right? We
Correct.
wrap our.
The drain line will come out of the bottom of the unit, and it will go either into a trap or it'll go into the wall. That is what needs to be cleaned out.
Because that gets full of green gunk if
Correct.
it's not cleaned out, right?
Correct. And they also have a safety switch.
And with our
With those-
if you're on an HVAC maintenance plan, we guarantee to keep the drain line clear as long as you get your semi-annual visit.
Correct. Correct. If we'll come out every 6 months and clean your drain line. If it backs up for any reason, we'll come out at no charge to go ahead and clear your drain line.
And we include Freon on that coverage too, correct?
It's free Freon with repairs, correct.
Okay. So, again, you went through the air handler. This radiator can get clogged up, this coil, so to speak, and sometimes you have to pull and clean it if you don't have the proper filter or proper size filter.
Correct.
Okay. So what else would you like to talk about with this?
Well, this is your blower assembly. This is
Okay.
what actually pulls the air through your air handler, okay, and
pulls
blows into
it.
your home. It's pulling it through in this case, in this
Okay.
application. There's a wheel in here. I'll slide this out. There's a wheel right there that spins around.
And that can get dirty if it's,
Correct. Just like your ceiling fan has to be cleaned periodically, so does your blower wheel.
okay. And the motor's inside here,
Yes, the motor is actually
right there.
Right there on that
with more
side.
modules and controls.
another module which is controlling the motor.
Okay.
Correct. That's what's going to make that motor very efficient.
That's, okay.
Okay? And this slides right back in.
Well, you can cut yourself easily on that.
Correct. Very, very much so.
So we want to talk a little bit about the condensing unit. This is what delivers the air,
Correct.
the condensing
This
unit.
is your inside air handler. This is your outside condensing unit.
Okay.
This is your ultraviolet light system that we offer. Okay. This can be mounted either through the panel. We can cut a hole and it gets sealed and it'll go in like that. Or it also comes with a large magnet kit.
Okay.
It just depends on the application. Some of them can't fit, so there's
And
other
it will
ways of
kill,
mounting it.
carbon-based biological growth anywhere the light shines.
Nothing will grow as long as the light is shining. Correct.
Okay. And it would hit this whole coil area.
Correct.
And it would
This-
keep,
This will mount out here like this. This will be inside, and once the light is on, nothing is growing.
wow. And that's technology in the last 15 years or so.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time, but as far as for residential homes, it's been around 15, 20
Commercial,
years.
that's right, hospitals.
Correct. They've been using it
clean
forever.
rooms. I guess if you call these the lungs, that's the heart, right?
Correct.
That's the pump, that's where all
That's
the
what
pumping
I
happens.
call the compressor the heart. That's what pumps the refrigerant, just like your heart pumps the blood through your system.
Okay, and then inside there is a compressor with it's a motor.
Correct. There's a compressor inside. This is your fan motor. This is going to condense the refrigerant from a liquid or from a evaporated gas into a liquid.
Okay.
Okay, that's why it's a condenser. It's condensing.
Okay. Now, this is what I tell people, and maybe you can confirm this. I say when you put your hand above here in the summer and hot air is coming out, that's the heat coming out of your house.
Correct.
It's basically transferring the heat from inside your house into the atmosphere, and that's why that's warm coming off there.
That's all you're doing is transferring heat from one place to another. You're taking the heat from your home and you're bringing it outside.
Energy cannot be destroyed, it could only be transferred.
A Cool Today in the last 50 years has evolved from a small town oil furnace, new construction company in the 60s into a multi-trade, world-class service organization. It's really primarily due to hiring great people.
I want you to remember not just me, but the company that I work for.
Whether you get a plumber, an electrician, an AC guy, we treat each customer the same way.
Plumbing Today, proudly offering our $99 drain cleaning 24 hours a day.
Today's units are odd-sized.
Correct.
When people go to Publix or Home Depot, their local hardware store, they don't get the exact size, and there's gaps.
Correct.
So those gaps, that dirt is bypassing the filter and going into your airstream that you
Going
breathe.
into the airstream, correct. It's going onto the coil, which the coil is going to be wet because it's removing humidity, and then it's going to stick to it, and that's what's going to start plugging up your airflow.
So how can you tell you have improper airflow? The air coming out of the vents is a lot slower than it normally is?
Correct. Not only that, that's how the homeowner may be able to tell. We have gauges that we can put on there. We can use a magnehelic. We'll test the static pressure from one side to the other. I always like to say that an air handler is a lot like a person. It has to breathe air in, and it has to breathe air out. If the person has emphysema, it's very hard to breathe. Mm-hmm. Well, the same with an air handler. If the filter's dirty, the coil's dirty, and you don't have enough airflow through the blower wheel, the same thing. Not enough airflow, it makes it very hard to work.
Okay. And so semi-annual maintenance, we make sure that the lung capacity on your indoor unit is working. It's got to circulate 100% of your air.
Correct.
Right.
It has a certain amount of what they call CFM, cubic feet per minute, that it has to run through that system. That's what it's designed to do.
All right, Cheryl, we went through, we discussed the problems that you have with your system
Right.
and all that, and I'm prepared to present a proposal. It was the right thing at the right time. It just all happened. I don't know who's going to be more excited, her or me. This is great.
Okay, so tell us about some of the components of the system and then what we do to maintain it.
Absolutely. Well, down here you have a contactor, which is your switch that turns the system on. Okay, this is a straight cool unit. It is not a heat pump.
Okay.
If you had a heat pump, you would have another circuit board out here.
Okay.
Okay.
And 85% of our clients have heat.
Pretty much down here, yes, South Florida. Your contactor, like I said, is a switch that's going to get a call from your thermostat to pull in and allows high voltage to go from one side to the other, which in turn starts your system.
Okay.
Then you have a capacitor. This is a dual capacitor. One half is going to start in the assist of the fan motor, and the other half is going to help it start the compressor.
This is that battery you talked about that will weaken.
If you want to call it a battery, that's what I liken it to, yes.
Okay.
So what we'll do is we take the leads off, we put on our meter to microfarads, and we test the capacitor to make sure it's within the manufacturer's range.
So if it's weak, what could happen?
Well, it can cause the fan motor to stop, which will overheat, and that can actually take out the motor. And exactly the same with the compressor. The compressor is going to try to start without that capacitor. It can overheat your compressor, and over time, that can kill your compressor.
Okay. And prevention is the key.
Prevention, that's why we're coming out here to test this.
Okay, got it.
Okay. And then we also have our refrigerant gauges on. We have a high side and a low side, and we're going to make sure that the pressures are within the manufacturer's specs. Okay. And we're also going to put some temperature probes on both of the lines, and that's going to tell us what is considered subcooling or superheat, which are ways to tell if your system is properly charged.
Do you lose Freon?
No. First of all, Freon is a brand name. That's one thing people don't get. Freon is a brand name just like Heinz ketchup or Publix ketchup. It's ketchup. Refrigerant will always be in the system. It'll always be pure unless something happens,
Kind of like your blood.
pretty much.
You shouldn't be losing blood.
You should not be losing blood unless you have, you're bleeding,
Okay.
okay? Your refrigerant's going to be there always. Now, we're going to come out and check that all the time. And the little bit that comes out is called de minimis, okay? That has nothing to do with leaking, because leaking is pounds coming out. That's why we're going to sit there and we're going to check the pressures to make sure everything's fine. If not, we're going to be able to notice by these gauges that there is something wrong. We're going to go ahead and then take a leak detector and go around the entire system and try to detect that leak for you and then fix it from there.
Yes, and if anybody's ever seen a leak detector, it's like a Geiger counter. They go
Correct.
around, and it just goes crazy when there's a leak.
Correct.
And and we also include free leak detection with our maintenance program.
Correct. A free partial leak check with our maintenance
Surface
agreements.
leak, okay.
Yep.
And there's more extensive leaks where you have it in underground and stuff like that.
Correct.
That's
Through
a
the
lot.
high rises from the roof to the unit, it gets a lot more complicated that way.
Because rust and corrosion is a big deal. What things can we do to prevent rust and corrosion? You know, you got people with these units outside, they got well water, and there's stuff that gets in the coils here. Again, another radiator out here.
Correct. You have another coil outside. This coil needs, once again, preventive maintenance. Okay, we're going to come out, it needs to be washed. Okay, so we're going to take a garden hose and wash that down. Yeah, we want to make sure that the condenser coil itself is properly washed, that it has good airflow through it. Once again, airflow, just like through the evaporator coil, is critical. You have
So what
to have the
happens
proper
if that
amount.
gets clogged up?
Well, it's going to overheat the motor. The refrigerant will not condense the way it's supposed to. It's going to cause high pressure, which if it does have a high pressure switch, it's going to shut the system off outside.
Now, we get calls from customers where their units turn to ice. How does that happen?
It's actually very simple. You wouldn't think it would turn to ice in
'Cause it's
Florida,
hot.
because you'll even see it outside. It'd be 95 degrees. You'll see ice out here starting. What happens is when you have improper airflow over the evaporator coil or improper refrigerant charge, meaning it's low of charge, not overcharge, the system, the coil itself, will actually drop below freezing, 32 degrees. So the water that's on that coil that you're trying to remove from your home
Yes.
gets so cold it turns to a block of ice. The ice will then follow the suction line outside, and then you'll start to see it
On the inside.
on the inside of here.
Okay,
But that's bad when you see that.
right.
You
And-
do not
and
want that.
customers can tell before that even happens from higher electric bills. Those are some.
It's just going to start feeling warm in the
Yeah.
house.
Okay.
Correct.
So got to keep this coil clean, and then what else on the inside of the system?
On the inside of the system, you want to make sure that there's no leaves, debris, pine needles, dirt building up. It's not a compost heap. Okay. We want to make sure that it has proper drainage. It has many drain holes in the bottom of it. So during our maintenance, we're going to pull the top off. We're going to vacuum it out, and we're going to spray it out and get all
So
that dirt
rust
out
and
of it.
corrosion is another challenge with these outdoor
Correct.
units. You have copper, and you have steel, and you have some aluminum. So you have all these different metals. How do you prevent rust from happening with these systems?
Well, it's the rust on the actual steel that's natural. It's not going to hurt anything. On the aluminum coils, the aluminum will start to turn to like a powder. What we can do is we can put on what's called an anti-corrosion grenade. It's a zinc, just like you put on boat motors. This technology has been around for at least as far as I know since the 40s.
Okay.
Okay, probably before that. Once you install this inside the system on the pipe, it is now the weakest metal in the system. The weakest link in the chain breaks. This will start to corrode before the expensive aluminum coils corrode. These coils can cost up to $2,000. Okay. During our maintenances, we'll come out also every 6 months, if need be, pull this off, clean it, clean the pipe it was on, and remount it.
Okay.
This needs to be kept clean also.
So again, it's like a boat motor zinc ball, so to speak.
Ounce of prevention.
Okay, that's great, that's great.
Okay. And
What
for,
other things do you do to prevent these units from breaking down or make them last
absolutely.
over 10 years?
We have what's called a hard start assist. Okay, this will mount onto the capacitor, and then you actually bolt it onto the panel here. This provides a boost of energy to make that compressor start.
Okay.
The hardest part of any motor starting is just that, making it go from nothing to spinning at full speed. Just like when you're bowling. The hardest part, throwing the ball. Once it's going, it's going. This right
You never
here,
see me bowl.
once you install this, this will drop the amp draw. In some cases, just as a case in point, from 60 amps at startup, it can drop it down to 15 amps. That's a big savings. So that's going to also extend the life of the compressor.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so what other prevention things can we do for this unit, for these outdoor units? You know, people get a lot of stuff inside, even in between our 6-month visit. You know, they live in shady areas. You know, Sarasota, Bradenton have beautiful trees all over the place. How do we prevent that stuff?
Absolutely. We have what's called a condenser fan screen. Okay, this is made of urethane. This can get put over the system like that. It can be cut to size and strapped on. Okay, this is made by the manufacturers to go ahead and let the proper amount of airflow through this system without stopping too much airflow. Because some people will sit there and put a metal screen on it. First of all, that's going to rust away. Second of all, sharp ends. Inevitably, you're going to get cut.
Yeah, this is kind of a plastic, rubbery plastic.
Yeah, it's almost like a urethane. So
So it's like a gutter guard.
and we warranty this for life. If you buy one of these from us, we put it on. If it rips, tears, whatever, we'll change it out for free.
Awesome. That's great. That's great.
Okay.
So also, you know, we get a lot of calls in the summer when we have a lot of lightning storms. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's the customer's electrical system. Sometimes it goes right through and hits the heart of the system.
Correct.
What can you do to prevent?
We can put on what's called a surge protector. This surge protector here can mount like this. Take it out. You got 3 wires here. It'll mount on the panel, and what you'll do is you'll hook 2 wires to your high voltage and the third to ground.
Okay.
This will take the hit from the lightning bolt instead of your motor and your compressor.
And I assume it's a lot less expensive than, say, a whole house surge protector.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That's
This is
great.
about 1/3 the cost of a whole house.
That's awesome. So that will prevent this from being taken out by lightning. And we do get insurance claims during the summer
Correct.
for new condensing units that are taken out for lightning.
Correct.
I think most insurance companies have deductibles of $500 to $1,000. So
Right.
it's going to cost the homeowner something.
Correct.
Okay, great.
So it's a good little piece of insurance to have.
Yes, that is.
Right here.
That's awesome.
Actually, all of this is good insurance. The corrosion protection, the hard start, any accessories like that. It's just an ounce of prevention.
So it's kind of like what you do with your car. You get things to prevent the car from breaking down.
Correct.
And the more electronic they get and the more high tech, the more they will break down, and you have to prevent that.
Correct.
So, great. Mike, you are awesome. You really know your stuff. Thank you for being part of our show today.
Absolutely.
And, this is Jaime DiDomenico with the Cool Today Sunday Morning Show. We hope you learned something. And remember, prevention is the key to your comfort needs.